Lent is that time before in preparation for Easter, which celebrates the rising of Jesus from the tomb. And more about that as we get closer to Easter. But one of the things that I need to kind of make clear, because we have Christian roots, Unity does, but there's a difference. That's why Unity is part of what's called the New Thought movement, because we think a little differently about our relationship to God, our relationship to Jesus. In the traditional Christian view, we're all sinners. Some of you, by the way, have heard that from your mom and dad. No. But that's the traditional Christian view. So we're separate from God, and if truth be told, we're somewhat of a disappointment to Him. Yeah. So what I want you to understand is that traditionally Lent is not a particularly happy time. Because Lent is all about fasting and abstinence and doing penance for all of your sins. It's about giving stuff up. It's about punishing yourself, actually. So it's 40 days. Now here's what's interesting to me. It's really not 40 days. The trick is it's 46 days. They just don't count Sundays. Now, I wanted to know, this is the first time in all the years I've been talking about Lent and Lenting, yes. Either a borrower or a Lenter be. So I want to know, what about why not Sundays? I now got the logic of it. Okay, we don't count Sundays. That gives us 40 days, from Wednesday to Easter Sunday and all that kind of stuff. So, the deal is, in the early church, fasting was prohibited on Sunday. On Sunday was a time of celebration. It wasn't a time of beating yourself up. It wasn't a time of giving things up. It wasn't a time of of letting things go. It was a time of celebration. So they didn't count Sundays. Which tells me that the other 40 days ought to be pure hell. So what we've done, you see, you got to understand that the belief in the traditional Christian church is that man's sinfulness, that's you and me, guys, our sins were the reason Jesus got crucified in the first place. Oh, God.
We're going to get you.
All right, so we have this period of Lent, and so now the model of that is Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness, okay, when he went off and fasted and prayed. And so even though he didn't sin, you see, but he went off and fasted and prayed to get clear. So we adopted that kind of thing. So Lent has been traditionally Christian, a time to give up things, to beat ourselves up, to hopefully get ourselves to be worthy of letting God into our life. All right, so let's come to New Thought, because I've had enough time with traditional Christianity here. New Thought and Unity believe there really is no separation in the first place. So it's not a matter of letting God into our lives. It really is a matter of remembering that God is our life. So the only sin that we have committed, sin meaning error, by the way. I want you to just remember, sin was not this you're going to go to hell kind of a thing. Sin was just you made a mistake. Now, we made it a big deal in the traditional church, but the only error that we made was forgetting who we really are and pretending to be human. Get it? That's the only mistake we make. That's the only reason that God is separate from us, is because we have pretended that He is. That's our big mistake. So Lent really is a time of remembering. Now, remembering, I want you to remember this. Remembering means, obviously, remembering, recalling, all of that. But the word comes from remember, to put things back together again. You have dismember and you have remember. So Lent is a time to remember, to bring all the parts of ourselves in together and remember the truth of who we are. So why are we here? You know the old song, what's it all about? Healthy? All right.
Whoa.
So it says Lent is about remembering. Yes, as far as it goes, yeah. Since Lent is really about remembering, I'm going to say that perhaps first we can consider that we are here to remember and also be a reminder. So it doesn't just become individualized, personal, egoic, human stuff. We're really here to bring back together the oneness. Now, I had, every once in a while we do things. I had a lunch with Betty Lou and our dear friend Lila, who lives next door, on Wednesday. And I was thinking about this, and so I posed the question. Actually, I really was kind of like interrogating. I did, so why are we here? What do you think? So Lila says that we're here to glorify God. I said, good. I said, so how do we do that? What's that mean? She said, well, we're here to be a blessing. Okay. And I said, so how do we do that? She said, well, I think we need to remember and then wake up. So thank you, Lila. I grilled her a little more, but she was saying, that's it. So I asked Betty Lou, and Betty Lou, in traditional Betty Lou style, says, well, our purpose here is to pay attention. To pay attention. Okay, I got it. So I said, more. She said, well, it's just simplify your life so that you really can focus on, pay attention to what is. That sounds like Lent to me, by the way, so I was very glad to hear that. I thought, there's the tie-in. Okay. This is called the anatomy of a sermon, Good, so we let go of all that distracting stuff so we can really be present, okay? We can pay attention. So then I said, well, so what are we paying attention to? She says, you're paying attention to everything that makes you happy. Everything that fills you with love. Everything that brings joy into your world. I like that. All right. Course in Miracles. Now you guys know I like Course in Miracles because it poses some interesting questions. Course in Miracles is an interesting piece of work, by the way. It really is mental. It's for us head cases who are mental, okay? It's designed to kind of make us a little crazy so that we maybe look at the world differently and feel sane, finally. So I looked at Lesson 100. Lesson 100 starts out, my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Oh, good news, but I'm still there, so what's my part? I know I'm essential, but what's my part? So it goes on to say, God's will for you is perfect happiness. Now, that sounds a little like some of the other scriptures that I shared this morning as well. So maybe, just maybe, my whole purpose in life is to be happy.
Yes.
I know it's too simple for some of you, but stay with me for just a bit. Now, because the Course likes a lot of words, I'm going to share a few of them with you. That lesson goes on and says, we will not let ourselves be sad today. For if we do, we fail to take the part that is essential to God's plan as well as our own vision. Sadness is the sign that you would play another part instead of what has been assigned to you by God. Wow. That's simple, guys. And there's more, but that's good. It ends up saying, you are God's messenger today. You bring His happiness to all you look upon, His peace to everyone who looks on you and sees His message in your happy face. Lesson 100, if you have a book. It's worth reading. Wow, God's will for you is perfect happiness. So how many of you would prefer to be unhappy?
Come on.
You know, every once in a while there is somebody who says, yeah, I like being unhappy, you know, but you know that's not really true. You know, when we get confused, we kind of wallow a little. But we don't have any other preference. So maybe, I want to just bring this back home now. Maybe we, God in us, okay, are only here to see how many diverse situations and circumstances we can put ourselves in and still be happy.
Amen.
You ever get it? You know, it's like Sunday morning. Sunday's easy to be happy. Lots of loving people, everybody smiling, all the huggy, kissy food, stuff like that. Everybody's having a good time. Now go out into the world, go to your job, or go to your neighbor, or go to your parents. Is it as easy to be happy? So maybe our purpose here is to keep putting ourselves in circumstances that challenge us so that ultimately we can be happy no matter what.
Yes. Amen. Yeah.
Now, Buddhism basically describes the same purpose for being here, but looks at it from a different perspective. I like having perspective. So Buddhism says the primary purpose in life is to end suffering. Okay? So we're saying the primary purpose is to be happy. Buddhism says the primary purpose is to end suffering. It goes the same direction. The Buddha said that humans suffer because we continually strive after things that do not give lasting happiness. See, trying to hold on to things don't last hurts. By the way, not denying that there are some things that bring joy. There's stuff in this world that makes us happy, makes us laugh, makes us smile, makes us feel loved and loving, but they don't last. So don't get attached. Easiest way I always remember is attachment is the source of all suffering. The picture I have, by the way, you're at the train station. You can say BART if you want, but I like the old-fashioned trains. It's more fun. And you're about to embark on the trip. The train's about to take off. You got one foot on the train. You're hanging onto the bar, just about to step up. But you got your other hand on the light pole right there. And you can't quite decide, am I willing to go or am I willing to not? And what happens? It's very painful. Attachment is the source of all suffering. All right.
Let go.
So in Buddhism anyway, the goal really is to recognize the impermanence of everything. And that's not fatalistic. That's just recognizing it for what it is. Temporary. And then, once we are no longer attached, maybe we can get off what they see as this karmic wheel of life after life after life after life until we finally get it. Now, I look because Lent is an interesting concept. This time of prolonged preparation for a special event. And so I looked at other religions. And since I talked about the Buddha, let me tell you about the Buddhist version of Lent. Okay? And it's called Vasa, and it's also really called the Rains Retreat. R-A-I-N-S, like rains. Okay? Because see, you have to picture now, back in Buddha's day, the monks all walked everywhere, traveled everywhere. They're out spreading the word, learning, whatever they're doing. Okay? But they're on the move. These guys are nomads. Well, in the rainy season, there are these pesky little new plants that come up, and they kept stepping on them and breaking them. And there are these little animals that come out of them, like little bugs and stuff, and they kept stepping on, and it wasn't good. You see, the Buddhists believe in no harm to any living thing. It's very difficult to walk around the world and do that in the rainy season when everything is a little muddy and murky and you're not sure what you're stepping on. So Buddha said to them, I grant you the use of the sanctuary for the rainy season. Now, by the way, this was not really a gift. It was more of a command. He basically said, you're here for 3 months. Stay inside, do your work. Focus. Deepen your spiritual practice. Let go of any distractions so you can come back into right relationship with who you are in this world. Now, in Chinese medicine, now that's interesting because that's not really a religion, but in Chinese medicine, springtime is the season of the liver. You know, the organ, the liver meridian. Liver, if you look at liver, the primary emotions related to liver are forgiveness and transformation. The way I remember this, by the way, is until we have absolutely, totally forgiven, we will not be able to transform our lives. Which is why we have all these, in Chinese medicine, all these spring cleanses. You know, it's house cleaning. We do that outside in the world, in our homes, in our businesses, and all that. It also is internal spring cleaning. And to give you a little flavor of liver meridian here, unhealed, we experience stuckness. As we begin to heal, we feel more powerful. It's letting go of feeling possessive so we can feel more giving, letting go of feeling stubborn so we can experience more transformation, letting go of anger so we can experience forgiveness, letting go of unhappiness so we can experience happiness. All of these are liver meridian, liver organ emotions and experiences. That's the springtime. Good time to clean house. Now the Muslims, they have Ramadan. Now Ramadan is 1 month between this year's June 28th to July 28th. And during Ramadan, they fast during the daylight hours. Now, what I want to tell you is that Ramadan is not an act of penance. It is not at all similar to the traditional Christian view of Lent. They party, guys. Sun goes down, it's party time. But what happens during this 1 month is their focus is on eliminating their distractions in their life, focusing more on their spiritual practice and applying spiritual principles in their everyday life. The whole focus of Ramadan is so people will come to a remembrance of our total, absolute dependence upon God for everything lasting and true in our life. So I like Ramadan. Happy time. Now, the Jewish religion has a celebration called Elul. I don't know if I said that right, but that's okay. This year it's August 18th to September 15th. And this is kind of the Jewish version of Lent. It's a time, again, of anticipation, of preparation, a time of cleaning up their act, actually, all leading up to Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. So I just want you to know that there are a lot of traditions that use this. Now I'm going to go away from spiritual tradition, and I want to share with you a story that you already know about Michelangelo. Michelangelo was an interesting guy. The story I think everybody has heard. You know, he created the statue David, one of his masterpieces. And what most people don't know is that he created it from a piece of marble that was just sitting in a heap of scrap. It was absolutely, totally rejected, passed over, looked, down on by every other artist. Nobody could figure out what to do with it. It's just a piece of junk. And it was sitting in the heap of all the other scraps of marble. And out of this, he created the David. And he was asked, how did you create such a masterpiece from such a crummy piece of marble? He said, I saw David in the marble, and I just chipped away everything that was not David. Wow. How about if we see the Christ in ourselves and just chip away everything that is not that? Now, I'm running time here a little bit. I'll just tell you. Some of you guys, any of you like to use the internet to research things and stuff like that? So for those of you who do, look up the Michelangelo method, okay? Just put in Michelangelo method, Google it. The short course, I want to give you a short course because it's amazing. He used, this was a time when self-expression and independent thought was really frowned on because of the energy, the constrictive, restrictive, dominating energy of the church at that time. Michelangelo was a hugely spiritual man, but he knew how to stay out of trouble. He actually used his masterpieces to demonstrate spiritual principles. And if you look up the Michelangelo method, it will tell you exactly which masterpiece illustrates each of these principles. But the principles are this, and I just want to do it real quick because it's good. Your mind is divinely inspired and is the key to true understanding and creativity. Wow, sounds unity to me. Each person has a masterpiece within.
Yes.
Commit to your vision with confidence. The fourth one, plan, then chip away.
I like it.
The fifth one, find your support. The sixth, fight for your vision. The seventh, use your unique experience creatively to push your limits. And the eighth, be true to yourself and live in integrity. So, for those of you who want, look it up. It'll tell you the pieces, but it's just beautiful. So, back to the original question. Why are you here? Why are we here? And my guess at this point for me, the answer is something about being happy. Because that's what I resonate with. But see, there isn't one answer that fits for everybody. Only you know what's true for you. So I'm doing what I'm called to do, which is stirring the pot just a little bit. So maybe you'll look at your life a little differently. And maybe you'll give yourself an opportunity to discover what's really true for you. And I want to come back to what Betty Lou said. During this time of Lent, our purpose is to pay attention. Our purpose is to simplify our life so much that we notice what's really important to us. That we pay attention and therefore create more of what brings us joy and happiness and brings more love in our life and more peace to our world. And having said all of that, the only thing I actually can be relatively certain of, that each in our own way, we are here to be love in our world. So thank you guys.
Wow.